I have been joined by Elvis Darko, who's the editor of The Finder. Good morning, Elvis.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
How was your weekend?
My weekend is not that. Only that I saw you having a lot of fun.
I asked about your weekend. I also have with me Kwame Jantuah, who's a lawyer and former vice chair of PIAC. Good morning.
Okay, how are you?
I'm fine. How are
What's
you?
this fun you're talking about?
There's no fun. I mean, we're alive. We're thankful.
Where did you go this weekend?
I
That Elvis is telling
I
you
didn't
about?
go anywhere. I was just
So how come he saw you?
chilling.
Oh,
I
you didn't see it.
have no idea what he's talking about. Anyway, we'll delve
Give
into...
praise where praise is due. Okay.
Okay, I will. We'll take a look at our first story here. I'm reading from citinewsroom.com, and it says, NLC to meet Labour Minister FWSC others on Monday over TUTAG strike, and Monday is today. The National Labour Commission has scheduled a meeting with relevant stakeholders in the employment and education sector on Monday, 28th of October 2019, that is today, to discuss the industrial action taken by technical university teachers. So we know that the teachers have been on strike now. It's going to be 3 weeks now, asking to be paid what they are due. And they are still trying to hear what government has to say before they will return to school. So meanwhile, students are, not really getting the education that they should get because their teachers are on strike. Elvis, how do we ensure we address this issue once and for all? Because we raised the standards for the type of teachers we wanted. So if they are asking us for them to be paid the amount they deserve, this shouldn't be something that should drag into a strike, should it?
It shouldn't, but the issues are somehow complex if you follow
Break it down for us.
It's not only about the pay. I think largely most of their members have not met the required qualification from the National Accreditation Board. And by the standards being enforced, it means that many of them stand the risk of losing their jobs.
Oh, but we got rid of those who didn't meet.
No, we didn't get rid of them. Government has given them a timeline to take up the necessary education to meet those standards. And that is something government is offering them to do. And I see it as one of the reasons, because based on what I have perused, if government even wanted to really enforce that regulation, about 90% of all the people teaching the polytechnics will not even be there.
90%?
Yes.
But they are no longer polytechnics, right? They are technical universities now.
They don't
and the teachers demanding this salary increase are people who are qualified. That's why they will be demanding the salary increase.
No, it includes both who are not there, but they'll be given that favor by government with time to raise it. But for me, that is not even the issue. The issue is that when politicians are seen to be enjoying life, and those who work for the public sector think that they are not getting their fair share of the cake, these are the kind of things we will see. The only way we can reduce some of these agitations is for politicians to take that stand and say, look, what we are earning, we are cutting it by half or by 30% or 40%. We want to make the earnings in the public sector, because the politician is also working for the state, to be almost at par with everybody that is working in the public sector. And for them to know, because see, somebody has a PhD is teaching, and his salary is not even up to the allowance that an MP probably who is a Form 4 leaver, but got opportunity to go to parliament is earning. How do you expect that person to fail?
Oh, but the teachers are not complaining that ministers and MPs
are
making more than them. They're just saying, you told us to meet this standard. If you are measuring us by that standard, pay us what we are due.
That's what I'm telling you. They will not complain about you, the politician. They will raise their standard to make sure that they are close to you. They are not saying that because you are, and they'll tell them we also deserve better. So we need to begin to look at this. I've always said that we've made politics too attractive by the kind of things we give to politicians. So everybody working in the public sector will feel like I also deserve it. How does an MP serve for 4 years and take home 200,000 Ghana?
Do you think teachers in technical universities deserve to be paid better than they are currently being paid?
In fact, not only the technical, I think teachers in general in this country, if we want to pay some group of people very well, teachers must be among the best paid in this country.
Why aren't we paying them well?
Because we think that the profession is not one that is respected, and therefore we as a people do not see teachers as vital part of the building of the needed human resource for this country. So it starts from the basic level all the way to the top, where we think that teachers are not that important. But you see, when you're looking for the right human resource to build your country, the people who build it for you are teachers at the various levels. So if you are a country that is expecting a very efficient, effective human resource that will help build your country, then where you must pay attention is the people who teach them. Everybody has been taught by a teacher, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a lawyer, whether you are a nurse, whether you are an engineer, whoever you are, it is teachers who taught you from the basic level all the way to the higher level to be who you are. But then at this country, after the teacher has taught them to become who they are, they go and make policies to make the teacher worse off. And they rather make themselves to be looking good. So for me, I think that the kind of system we have, our system has given politicians so much luxury. So if I'm working for the same state and I'm not getting that kind of luxury, I'll always be asking for more. Okay. Because if I am working for the public sector for 10 years, 15 years, and I can't even buy a Toyota Corolla, and then an MP is elected, and immediately they say, give him money to go and buy a V8. Give him a house in Sakumono or someplace, very posh environment, because we voted for him to become an MP. He gets all kinds of allowances. He's given priority when it comes to passports. All kinds of things we do for these people simply because we all went and voted for them. We have now placed them above everybody in this country in terms of priorities of how state money is given to people. Okay. I expect that if politicians want us to address some of these issues, they must set the example. In Lebanon, one of the countries, demonstration about hardship. Now the government says they're cutting the pay of everybody by half. Do they have to wait to get to that point before the Prime Minister says it's cutting the pay of everybody by half? I don't think that we should get there. So the various agitations that are coming up, if the political class will not sit up and set a proper example, it's going to be difficult for us at a point to convince people working in all this, from teachers, doctors, nurses, to say, you go continue to take those small salaries. If you see salaries of public sector chief executives and things that they are given simply because they are chief executives in the public sector, it will blow your mind. Okay,
thank you, Elvis. Council. They are meeting today, stakeholders are meeting today. This is the first time they've met. How do we ensure that we get the results? Because in all this conversation, the person who's missing is the student. They're in school to learn, but they can't even get their education because their teachers are on strike. So how important is it that we find a solution today in that meeting?
Good morning. Good morning to Elvis and our viewers. As you rightly said, the ones caught in the middle are the students. And the students don't seem to have a voice. In fact, when you listen to some of the interviews that the students have given, some of them are trying to study, some don't know what to do, and they are pleading with the teachers and government for this to be resolved. Now, if I take Elvis's point, this book has to be changed, the Constitution. It has to be changed because a lot of things that Parliament enjoys is stated in the Constitution, apart from the other perks they have. If this Constitution isn't changed, we cannot bring them at par with teachers. Yes, I totally agree that teachers are an integral part of our upbringing. However, when you look at the passes of students of late, it throws the question, is it that the students don't understand what the teachers are studying, or the teachers aren't teaching the children for them to pass? That is a huge challenge for parents. Because right now we have free education. The test will come next year as to how many of our young children will pass. And if majority fail, then free SHS is a big question mark there. What is it that we can do to make sure that teachers are satisfied with where they are. And yeah, this particular challenge is not only in Ghana. It's all around the world. Go to the UK, go to America, go to Germany, go to France. Teachers aren't giving the kind of standard they are supposed to get. And you ask the question, why? Is it because the teacher would come from the community, and because they come from the community, we downgrade them as, oh, a teacher? That is what she is. And the parliamentarian, because he is voted by the masses of people, is seen in a different light. I think one of the major challenges we have with pay in this country is the fact that the country might be broke. Because if you look at the revenue that comes in, nearly, and Elvis can correct me if I'm wrong, nearly 95% is paid, is used to pay our loans. So it comes back to the politician. We have to have a place, we have to take a position that when we are going over budget, when we are going over expenditure, we stop. And when we stop, we need to be able to explain to the Ghanaian that we're stopping. Because if we go any further, these are the consequences. And the Ghanaian should be able to understand. Look, a lot of people in this country don't understand the intricacies of ruling a country.
Yes,
and the politicians don't help. Unfortunately, the teachers aren't given the chance to teach the kind of politics that we are practicing, or the best way to practice politics from a very, early age. We sometimes feel that children don't understand these things, but try them and see.
Yes, but the situation with the technical universities is a bit unique because we transferred them from polytechnics to technical universities and said, we require people who teach in these institutions to have these sets of merits. Now they're saying, if you're going to ask us to meet you as far as our credibility is concerned this way, we should be paid accordingly. Shouldn't that have been considered in the whole restructuring from polytechnics to technical universities, and even what we demand of the teachers?
Okay, when they were changing the technical polytechnics into technical universities, what was the duration?
Okay, they gave them enough time.
Did they change it? Did they change it at once? No. They didn't do it overnight. And within that duration, you should uplift yourself to be able to teach in a university. Did they do that? We need to interrogate that. If they did that and they're still not being paid,
I don't think any teacher would be asking for payment if they don't have the right requirement. Elvis is saying otherwise.
Because you can't get rid of them immediately because they are many.
Exactly.
Yes. And the convention has affected them until they are calling. So the government, I'm giving you a 3-year concession period for all of you to try and upgrade yourself. So you get the level we expect you to.
Yes, so someone who's not at that level can't be requesting for salary for that level.
It is not the point is that now you say we are investors.
Yes.
Pay us what universities are paid. That is their business. That's what they are saying now. And you know one of the things they are asking for? Entertainment allowance. Entertainment allowance. A teacher asking for entertainment allowance because the politician gets entertainment allowance. So you understand it.
Back to the lawyer.
So perhaps what we should try and do,
and they might have their reasons for that.
What we should
the universities already get it, so they said they give it to us too.
Perhaps
the universities got it because the politicians were getting it, and they also asked for it.
Okay,
yeah, but that is wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers are not the same. They're not the same.
But if you tell me that you're going to measure me at the same status as a university,
so
then you should give me everything that a university currently earns. So I think there's some merit to that, especially if the teachers qualify for the position.
So what are the things that they've itemized?
They want to be paid the same as university teachers, right? All the benefits that university teachers get, they should get as well, because that's the standard that we've set for them now.
So the question I then ask is that when we were transferring from technical polytechnics to technical universities, did we make provision to be able to pay them as
That's the question I'm asking you. Well, when we were planning this, shouldn't it have been in consideration?
I'm not sure whether we did. Because if we did, we shouldn't be in the situation we find ourselves in. And you can't just take it for granted that the fact that you have now turned them into technical universities automatically you won't be required to pay them what they deserve. You should know that they have to come on that standard. And you see, what that now brings is that it brings a bit of discrimination, feeling that the universities of Legon, Tech, Cape Coast are higher universities than theirs.
Yeah.
And then you would find that if this isn't resolved, the universities that are going to benefit are the private universities. Because if they then find that government is not pulling its weight with regards to the demands, and if the demands aren't outrageous, then they'll find other ways and means of, satisfying their salary. But you see, for me, technical universities are even much, much important than the other universities we have. Because look, in the 60s, Ghanaians were technically good throughout West Africa. They did the plumbing, they did the electricity, they did the weaving. What didn't they do with their hands? Because we had technical polytechnics and technical colleges that were able to train people to a certain standard. Let's go back into the technical universities today and see the curricula, whether when they come out, they would be able, if not to be employed, start their own business. You see, when you're taught how to use your hands, you don't need somebody to employ you. Yeah. You can start your own. When you're a cameraman, which is a technical thing, and you don't get to come into a TV station like this, you can start your own small business. So they are very, very important additions to our education sector. So we can't afford the students to be, languishing
and now
in
that we're getting
despair
into
like
our third week, school might have to officially close if we don't find a solution to this issue. And what would that mean for the students? They now have to leave campus.
Now, what I don't know, what has government said about it?
Elvis, you
what
want
has
to
government
help us?
said about it?
The government has done a lot. The government met them last
What
week.
have they officially said about
Exactly.
paying them? They've not addressed the issue of payment.
Government, they met last week. Government made concessions. They talk about electricity, the government said they were willing to pay. They said fuel, government said they were willing to give them fuel, 20 gallons of fuel a month. They made a lot of concessions.
As far as the salary is concerned,
not.
Government has not
No, it is not salaries. The thing is, aside the salaries, there are allowances. These things I'm talking about.
The benefits.
The entertainment allowance, the electricity bill, the accommodation, the fuel. These are the issues they are fighting for. Because that is what adds up the salary for them to get something appreciable. At the meeting they had last week, government made a lot of concessions. But at the end of the day, of course, it's their right to say we are walking away. So if they walk away, it doesn't mean that government has not made offers.
Yes.
But the question is, why are they rejecting the government offers? That's what they have not. They are not telling us. So if you think that a lot of your members have not met the standards that NAP and Citi, NCT have put in place, and for that reason, some, because they are in the majority, they want to use it as a resistant movement. It's not the issue. Let's be real. If it is true that a lot of the members have not met and therefore will not get the kind of things they are asking for, let's all accept the period government is giving for them to up their game and get it.
Okay,
but if government has given you all concessions, including entertainment allowance, and then you said you still don't agree and you work off everything because you know that the students will cry and put pressure on the government, what you have said is that, you see, we are in a system where private, the education sector has become a place where, especially at the tertiary level, private sector participation at the highest level is becoming a problem because of cost. So all the burden in this country is on government. How can government continue expanding the payments and allowances to people? Do we have the resources to keep it? These are the questions we should be asking ourselves.
Okay.
I'm not saying that they deserve, but let's make concessions and move on.
We do have to go for a break. So they did meet with government. This is going to be the third meeting.
Yes.
Government offered some things.
Yes.
Teachers were not satisfied because they're saying even if you're giving universities something that makes absolutely no sense, as long as they have it, we should also have it.
The question is,
it's not
what
an
is the salary of a
request.
teacher? Why should the teacher's salary be bumped up with allowances? Why? Why don't you give the teacher a salary that they can live on and not based on allowances? Because that is the challenge. If government doesn't have the money to pay the allowances, what happens? It is the salary that should be looked at, and that salary should be able to allow the teacher to rent a house if he wants to rent a house, to look after his family if he, when he wants to look after his family. So I think we should look at the salary and not bump it up with allowances. Because not every day you can pay allowances.
Okay, so we'll go for a quick break. This is Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. And of course, let us know what you're thinking with the hashtag Breakfast Daily and of WhatsApp line 0550585832. We'll be right back.
So why haven't they migrated?
Welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. We're still discussing TUTAG and what's going to happen to the students if this strike keeps on going. Lawyer Jantuah, you were finishing your
Yes,
thoughts
why
on
haven't
this?
they migrated them onto the obligatory pay structure? Because that seems to be a contention.
Issue.
If it so happens that the others are on that structure, what is stopping government from migrating them? They should let us know.
Yeah.
And if they let us know and, they have a valid reason why, then we interrogate what the valid reason is. But obviously, if they are now a university and they're entitled to be migrated onto the obligatory pay structure, so be it.
So there's a statement here that says updates on government and TUTAG deliberations so far, and one of the things addressed was actually that TUTAG have been duly migrated onto the SSSS effective August 2019, along with all salaries and allowances due them. They were, however, demanding to be accorded equal allowances exactly as it is with university professors. So the issue is all the benefits that professors get, they want them as well, because if you're saying our standards will be the same as universities, then if you're a teacher at University A and I'm a teacher at Technical University B, our benefits should be the same.
The operational words there, you remember they said what, professors? Are the teachers professors?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to set that standard,
No, at the technical, everybody at the polytechnic says they're a professor.
no,
Is he a
they are
professor?
not.
Exactly.
They're not.
Not a professor. To be a professor, you go through a certain process. You go through a certain tuition to get to that level. And if the technical university lecturers are not professors, why do they want the same as the professors are getting in the universities? Isn't that what they said?
We have associate professors.
Exactly.
And we have full professors.
Exactly.
We have adjunct professors. So even at the level of professorship, there are differences based
Exactly.
on what you are able to do. So you see, if they are asking that, if they are the same level with the people, for me, they should have the same benefits, simple and short, unless they are not at the same level. So the government should be fair. If I have the same qualification, like somebody in the university, why should I be denied what somebody in the university is getting? I should get it because we have the same qualification in the teaching profession. We should earn the same thing. So for me, once they are public universities and we are talking about it, if it is true that people with same qualification with those in the university are not getting same, then it is cheating. Government must do something
So
about
let
it.
me read briefly what TUTAG had to say, then we'll go on. So it says, Technical Universities Associations of Ghana National Secretary, this is their response on their meeting with the government, and they said, 1, TUTAG has not been migrated onto the SSSS for public universities, along with all allowances due them as claimed by the FWSC. Per the letter dated since August 2019 from the Minister of Finance, TUTAG was supposed to be migrated onto public university salary grade structure of the SSSS effective August 2019. However, only one item on the structure, namely interim market premium, was computed and paid in September 2019. Already, the basic salary for respective lecturership grades at the public universities and polytechnics in Ghana are essentially the same across board. Unfortunately, the migration occurred without the requisite allowances due to TUTAG per the public university salary grade structure. TUTAG demands that the requisite allowances be paid to its members, and they went unattended, and this led to their declaration of the sit-down strike. They never demanded to be accorded equal allowances exactly as it is with university professors, because TUTAG knows the term professor in a Ghanaian university is a rank, and such a professor is part of the senior members of the universities who receive similar categories of allowances. And there are no allowances specifically designed for university professors in Ghana, and that TUTAG can demand same. TUTAG cannot ask for something which does not exist in the first place. So they're saying They understand what a senior professor is. That's not what they're saying, but they're saying whatever it is we're due, at least give us that.
The other question I then ask is that, you know, in all this narrative, we've been calling them teachers. When you go to the University of Lagos, University of
Kwame University,
you call them lecturers.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the two?
Okay.
And if there's a difference, what's the level of difference? And is it right to call them teachers or to call them lecturers if they're universities?
Okay.
So, you know, the lingo that we use has implications to how people will see them. When you say teachers, they're not like any ordinary school teacher.
Yeah.
And if
But they are no longer, because we moved them from the polytechnics to the technical universities
Yes.
now. They shouldn't still be getting the same things they were getting.
Yes, they should get what is due them. We agree on that.
The whole thing that this statement explains, they are not fighting over the salary because
Yes, they are
the
fighting over the
the
standard.
issue is about allowances.
Yes.
The whole
Which is
issue,
important.
that's what
But
they're
it's
saying,
all part and parcel
is
of it.
allowances.
Yes.
And they are fighting over allowances.
Yes.
That is why students are home.
You see, the next thing we'll hear is that
So-
the allowance they're even giving them does not match up to the allowance given to lecturers in Legon and all that.
That's what I'm saying. So
all that should be worked out.
Why do we bring, as you said, all these allowances? Why can't we say every lecturer is paid 5,000 and that is it?
Okay.
All these allowances and things that we are putting and suffering. And you see, the election is next year. It's a strategy.
Okay.
This is the season for strikes.
Which election?
2020. Next time
the
we'll be
security guards are also on
strike
strike as
so
well.
all the public sector will be going on strike.
We'll take a look at our next
They
topic
also be
here.
going on strike.
And it has to do with the former president, Jerry John Rawlings. He's saying reinstate Avoke, 5 others, and he's demanding that. I'm reading from page 5 of the Finder. Former President Jerry John Rawlings is demanding justice for dismissed Vice Chancellor of the University of Education, Winneba, Professor Mauto Avoke. A confidential letter cited by the Finder and addressed to, okay, we're going to go on and on and on, but the letter pretty much is from the office of the former President Jerry John Rawlings, and it's saying, Honorable Minister, there's a clear case of injustice here, and the continued non-resolution of this matter is justice denied and unattainable. And so they are tying it into Iyoko's findings that said the Vice Chancellor did not abuse his office or breach any procurement laws. But now he's out of office, he's out of work, along with 5 others, and the former president is saying that we should do right by the former Chancellor. Elvis, let me come to you with this.
No.
Why is the former president now speaking on this matter?
No, I think they say the people who have petitioned him. What he wrote is in response to the petition from Avoke that he should intervene for him on his behalf. I think this whole issue has not been properly handled. I think that for various reasons, I don't know why we are still here. Somebody has been accused of abusing his office. He was asked to step aside.
Yeah.
We didn't wait for investigations to be concluded, and then we swear in a new vice chancellor. Now, the report from the investigation indicates that the allegations against the person were false. Now, the challenge is that because you have put somebody in his office, it's difficult for government now telling the person that because the person has been exonerated, please vacate the office for the person to come and take over. Because the person you have put there, to legalities, you put it there. If you want to remove him, the person will challenge you for removing him. So I think that the government's inability to wait for the outcome of investigations to determine the next line of action was a problem. I remember that very time the school could not even hold congregation and graduation because they said the board was not properly constituted to be able to do certain things, and therefore the government rushed in to go and put a new vice chancellor. I think that the government should sit with Professor Avoke and have a discussion. Okay, probably we put a new person there. The person's term may be 4 years or 5 years. We can't remove him now because we put him there. We want you to be back to the university and do your work as a lecturer. When his term expires, we'll restore you as the vice chancellor because you deserve to be there and you didn't complete your term, so we'll give you that opportunity. I think that there should be a way of going back. This back and forth, the man that's in the office now, removing him is going to be another challenge. Yeah. And therefore, I think that having a concession with Avoke, that look, let's get you back to the university to do your work. once this term expires, we are restoring you back as the VC because we didn't allow you to complete your term. I think probably it may solve the problem. Advocate and co may understand that, well, the situation is so delicate that they can't just remove the person and put me there. And therefore, if they are promising me, let's have an undertaking that this is legally accepted, that the man there will serve just one term, and after his term, I'll be restored as a VC. I believe that it will bring some sanity to this, but the way we are going back and forth, I think it's not helpful to all of us.
So, lawyer, I'll come to you, but let me read what the former president said exactly. So I'm reading his the letter that he releases. Petition from Professor Mauto Avoke. I have, over the past few days, received representations and a petition from Professor Mauto Avoke on his challenges with the University of Education, Winneba, where he was Vice-Chancellor. As per attached petition, the IOCO, which investigated allegations against Professor Avoke and 5 others, has exonerated the 6 persons. Unfortunately, during the pendency of the investigations, the affected persons were dismissed from the university by the previous council of the university. The actions has created complex situation, leaving the exonerated Professor Avoke and his colleagues still out of work. Honorable Minister, there is a clear case of injustice here, and the continued non-resolution of this matter is justice denied and unattainable. As per the professor's request, I would be grateful if you can look into the merits of the latest development and take the necessary actions. So the letter goes on to say, well, the necessary steps in consultation with the relevant stakeholders that will be satisfactory, justifiable, and equitable in the eye of the law. And he addressed this to the Minister of, well, the Ministry of National Security. Now, why didn't he address this to the Ministry of Education? I was wondering.
I wouldn't know why he didn't do that, but let me ask the question. Okay, the gentleman who was at the Public Procurement Authority, has he been replaced?
No.
No.
He's been asked to step aside. What's wrong with this one? What's the difference here? This one wasn't asked to step aside. It was sacked.
Yeah.
And that's an injustice there. What was the reasons behind them sacking him when IOCO at the time hadn't brought out their verdict on whether he's been charged or not charged? And when it was found that he's been exonerated, what was so difficult in replacing him? Elvis says, you know, we should try and work things out. The shoe should be on the other foot.
But if you've been in a position and you've not done anything wrongly, and they say, well, we found out the guy before you did not do anything wrongly, so you now step aside, you've also not been fair to the new person.
Why?
Because you rightly appointed the person.
We made a mistake.
You can't make such a mistake, especially if it's the president the president went there.
Yes, but
at that level, you can't say, oops.
You see, this is where you see politics playing its ugly head in these things.
Really?
Yes, the president shouldn't have even gotten involved. You see, and sometimes these are the things I find difficult. The president is a lawyer. He knows the law. He knows right from wrong. He's been on the prosecution side. He's been on the defendant side. He knows. And he knows that everybody is judged innocent to proven guilty. This gentleman has been proven innocent. He's entitled to his. Maybe what Avoka should do, he should take it to court and sue the Ministry of Education, sue the Interior Ministry, sue government for big sums of money, because it's wrong. It's not right. It's the current EC, the Vice Chancellor there, he didn't put himself there. Yeah. He was placed there. And the people who place him there have the power to unplace him.
Okay.
And, you know, okay, if we even going by what Elvis is saying, telling him that, well, we made a mistake, unfortunately, because he's been exonerated. He didn't do any wrong. So you go back to the lecture hall, let him come in. But anyway, I don't see how that will work. There will always be friction between the two.
Why?
Always. You've come for my position. I've come back. And you expect me to be friends with you? Even if you're dropped down to a lecturer's position with the promise of taking you back on, and vice versa. if Avoka is given the chance to go back to lecture, you think that will happen? Maybe. What should happen? They should find Avoka a position in another university till such time that this gentleman finishes his term, and then bring him back.
What should we learn from this experience as far as, you know, relieving people of their positions and instating someone else when investigations are not complete?
Knee-jerk reaction and politics. The fact that we want our person in there, that should stop.
You think that was all it is?
Well,
that
it's part and parcel of it. It could be part and parcel of the whole cocktail of this particular issue. But if Iyoko has said the man is not guilty of anything, the contracts that he gave them out genuinely. He didn't benefit from any of these contracts. Why should the man suffer for it? It goes to show that it can happen to any of us in public office. I'm not in public office, but generally. And if the person who is happened to has no mouth to speak, cannot find a lawyer, does not know any politician, what happens? Yeah. It's wrong. Should do something about it. And if right now President Rawlings has written to the Interior Minister, I don't know why he wrote to the Interior Minister. Yeah. Perhaps he's not comfortable with the actions of the Ministry of Education at the time this whole thing came up, the kind of utterances that happened during that period. So he sat down and felt, well, let me take it through this
national security.
Yes.
No, I think the reason being that out of this, there were a lot of skirmishes on the campus, and it became a security issue. So, in fact, national security actually is virtually in charge
of this matter
at the university now to make sure that peace prevails. In fact,
the last the people in charge of reinstating
exactly. That's the peace. That's the peace.
For raise in the university.
But not for the actual position.
But he's asking for justice to be
So if the national security can assure that Avoka can be restored and there will still be peace, then the necessary authorities...
Is that even a possibility?
That is what for me, I think the relationship have been so estranged because now there are accusations that the current VC was the one who undermined Avoka. He was the one who orchestrated everything against Avoka. So
shouldn't he just step aside now that Avoka has been...
That is a government decision. And you see, once you appoint the person has a legal contract. So if you take him like Avoka issue, if we don't address it, one day he'll go to court and get judgment debt. You see? Because all his entitlement, he's entitled to it by his position once he's been exonerated by an investigative body. If he goes to court one day, he'll get huge judgment. The same thing if you go and tell Afro Brody to step aside and say, I won't step aside, and you force him out, he also take the same position and say, my term has got to be served, I want to go for judgment debt. That's why I'm saying that a negotiation, we can negotiate a position where we don't really lose money. Because in this case, what can happen...
both of them can work.
So the worst that can happen is you pay two vice chancellors the same benefits and everything for the same university, but only one will act.
Meanwhile, teachers don't have their allowance.
You understand the point.
Let me ask the question. Why didn't former President Rawlings write to the president?
Oh, we don't know whether he has written to him.
Well, but it would be reported. At the present moment, we don't know.
We don't know.
So we take it that he hasn't. Why didn't he write to the president? Is he not in good relation with the president? He is. From utterances and the way we see them, at functions, they are in good speaking terms. Why didn't you do it on the presidential level? Ex-president and current president jojoring together. Because as you rightly said, the president went there to what? To install him. Yeah. So he should have written to the president. And the president would now instruct all those who are responsible for this to look at it. Yeah. But he wrote to the minister. The minister now has to take it to cabinet. Cabinet, they will sit there, and if the president doesn't veto that look at it, it will be jojoring. 2020 will come, and nothing would have happened. Yeah. And this man's rights would have been, trodden on. And I don't think it's right.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll take a look at our final story here. I'm reading from citinewsroom.com, and it says, election of MMDCE's Elembele MP threatens to injunct upcoming referendum. Member of Parliament for Elembele constituency, Emmanuel Ama Kofibua, has threatened to place an injunction on the upcoming district-level elections and referendum for the election of MMDCEs. The MP indicated that the EC has no business conducting any form of elections in the country until it resolves challenges associated with the recent voters registration exercise, which, according to him, disenfranchised some Ghanaians. So I'm going to quote the MP briefly. I tried to ask the Speaker to guide me to basically summon the chairperson of the Electoral Commission to come to Parliament to explain what has happened and give us the steps they are taking to rectify the matter. And I believe that if that has not been rectified, the EC has no business conducting elections in this country. I have to tell you that I am proceeding to court to pull an injunction on this district assembly elections and the referendum until these issues are rectified. It has to be upsetting. We should be very, very upset. You guys should see how much money has gone into this exercise. And for us to know 500,000 of Ghanaians, including 5,000 from my district, have been disenfranchised. So he said that to us on Friday. Elvis, this issue of MMDCEs, should they even participate in an election if we have issues with the whole process of voter registration?
Well, as for the Electoral Commission, I've always said that everybody must be focused on the Electoral Commission because they are the fulcrum around which our democracy revolves. Without an Electoral Commission, you may not have a democracy.
Is there some merit to the concerns the MP is raising?
Well, this is an issue, it's an NDC position that the way the limited voter registration was done,
well, I think Ghanaians in general had issues with it.
No, by their estimation, they think that this number of people have not been captured. I don't have any basis to agree with the NDC. I don't know how they concluded that a certain number of people have not been captured. So if he wants to go to court, that's why the courts are there. If he goes to court and produces enough evidence, I think that the court will listen. Because I remember very well before we went into that, the EC estimated to capture at least 1 million Ghanaians in the exercise. At the end of the day, we have been told that they've even captured about 1.2 million people. So if they met their estimated figure, I don't know how come NDC believes that there are more people out there that could be captured that have not been captured. So I think that the court is for everybody. If they have a legitimate case to go to court, they should go to court. Let the court decide. After all, after a Jan's time, we remember that a similar thing happened. Somebody went to court, and the whole exercise was quashed, and they have to go and look for additional money of about 90 million cedis of the taxpayers' money to be able to do everything all over again before we went for that election. So if they are convinced that they have enough grounds that the voters register as we speak is not credible, I think that the court is the best forum for them. But for the election of the MMDCs, it must happen because it's one of the critical and cardinal points of improving our democracy.
Neil Van der Poel does not agree. He says the elections of MDC won't resolve the decentralization challenges.
No, it will. It will a lot. You know, right now, a lot of people think that their MP is their development agent because it's the one they voted for. Even though the common fund goes to the DC, is the one who is supposed to do development. Because we voted for somebody, we see that person more as the one we should hold accountable for.
You think it will solve?
So I think that if we vote for people, and we know that these are the people we are told that we voted for them, but they must bring development, I think that will begin to hold the right people accountable for lack of development in our community. So for me, I think it's critical. And it's also critical because one of the problems of winner takes all will be addressed. Now, a government will be in power, and there may be several MMDCs that may be people who belong to the opposition party who are also holding position and are being paid salaries and are in charge and part and parcel of the process.
Or independent.
Jantuah, so let me ask you this. There are people also saying that already MPs and their elections are costly. Do we want to have this issue of going for an election for MMDCs and spending monies that we don't have when we should just focus on serving the people?
Who said elections were cheap?
Elections
it's a very expensive activity all around the world.
Isn't that a reason why we shouldn't, go through this whole MMDC elections exercise?
We haven't been able to prove that those who are currently running the districts have run it to the benefit of the people. Something has to be done and something has to change. But, I will say to you that this constitution must change. Why do I say that? There's a mistrust of the Electoral Commission. Why? They are being put in by a sitting president. Mahama did it. Akufo-Addo is doing it. So there's a mistrust by the opposition. It's very easy. If it was there's an independent way of putting the Electoral Commission in place, All that Amabwa would do is walk straight up to the Electoral Commission and sit with them and say, X number of people have been disenfranchised. Please, let's see how best we can capture them. Let's find out whether it is true that they've been disenfranchised. And if they've been disenfranchised, the Electoral Commission should do something about it. I expect them now to take this tact. If Amabwa is saying a lot of people have been disenfranchised, they shouldn't be waiting to be called to Parliament. They should set up their own task force, go into these areas where he's saying people have been disenfranchised, and check. If it comes out that what he's saying is not true, let the people know, and then we know where we stand. We can't be rigmaroling around this thing for too long. 2020 is just around the corner. In fact, not even 2020. MMDCE's election is just around the corner. Now,
no, the referendum on it, not the election.
Well, whatever the case is, there is some activity going to happen. There's some activity going to happen. Referendum, election. After referendum, if it goes party's way, the election will come on. If it doesn't go the party's way, election will still come on. Although I don't agree to the kind of question that is being asked on the referendum. That is a different kettle of fish that we can cross later on. But really, if there is a challenge, and if there's a challenge in any part of the country, not only Amabwa's constituency, anywhere in the country where people have been disenfranchised, it's incumbent on the Electoral Commission to make sure that the right thing is done. You don't want to get to elections and people are fighting at the polling station because they can't find their names in the electoral.
Thank you very much. We have some messages.
Because the registration was not done at every polling station, it means that people may not be able to travel from long distances to designated places
and
to
there's
register.
some merit to it. I must say that even me, when I was registering, I went through a lot of stress that I shouldn't have gone through.
The normal registration is done at every polling station. But for EC to choose which polling stations to do it and not do it at some place, they believe that people might not have registered because of the distance.
Okay.
But now,
the issue
we need to prove
so
that.
we have messages from our viewers. AU Farouk from Tamale North says, why is government not coming to terms to solve tax demand? It is an act of sabotage or disrespect. So is it an act of sabotage or disrespect? Jagos from Misawem says, I hope these technical universities teachers will go to an agreement with the government so that they can cancel their ongoing strike and go back to the classroom because students are waiting for them in the classroom. We have unfortunately run out of time, so we can't read the rest of your messages, but thank you so much for being with us. And thank you, Lawyer Jantuah, who's a lawyer and a former vice chair of PIAC, and of course, Elvis, who is the editor of The Finder, for spending your morning
You
with
still
us.
haven't told me what happened, though.
I hope you both enjoy your week. Do not go anywhere. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Citi Tube.
For exclusive breakfast daily content and other Citi TV programs.
Like, comment, and share with your friends.